lesson we're talking about today is Advanced Pre-Algebra, Lesson 1. It's graphing. I don't think there's one-step inequalities. It's just graphing inequalities. The homework is in the packet, page 2 and 3. Don't forget about your con, blah, blah, blah. Now, this is a list of the topics that are on the first quarter benchmark. Want to pause and copy them down. I would like you to pause and do these problems right now. We're going to do a little bit of a review this morning. All right. Without solving, tell me if the equation has one solution, no solutions, or infinitely many. Well, this is 6x minus 10 equals 6x minus 10. They're exactly the same, so this would be infinitely many. Because they're exactly the same. If I subtracted 6x from both sides, I would have negative 10 equals negative 10. That is always true. The second one, negative 4x plus 6 equals 5x plus 10. The x's, the variables, are different. So we know we're going to have one solution because there's going to be a variable left after we combine them. And the last one, number 3, 7x plus 5 equals 7x minus 6. These are going to be no solution. Because if I subtract 7x from both sides, I'm going to have 5 equals negative 6. There's no number that will make that true. All right, pause your video and do this one. I live 15 and a half miles from Wegmans. My friend Sam lives 20 and a quarter miles from Wegmans. How many more miles does Sam live from Wegmans than me? Or am I going to subtract? So I'm going to do 20 and 1/4 minus 15 and 1/2. Well, in order to subtract, I need to have a common denominator. So I'm going to have what? 20 and 1/4 minus 15 and 2/4. Now you got to pay attention. 1/4 minus 2/4 you can't do, so I need to borrow. This 20 will become a 19 and 4/4. That's 20. But I already have 1/4. So 4/4 and 1/4 makes that 5/4. So 5/4 minus 2/4 is 3/4. 19 minus 15 is 4. So 4 3/4 miles. Again, pause the video and do this. Miss Romano used 2 1/4 cans of chicken broth to make soup. Each can contains 7 3/4 ounces of broth. What is the total number of ounces of chicken broth that she used? Well, she had 2 1/4 cans, and each one had that much. So what will I multiply? 2 and 1/4 times 7 3/4. So let's see. To multiply mixed numbers, you need to change them to improper. So that'll be 9/4 times 31/4. I can't do any reducing, so I multiply straight across, and I'll have 279/16. Now, I need to divide. Change this to a mixed number. I know that 16 times 16 is 256. Well, I need to add one more 16 to this. And I'll have 272. So 16 goes in here 17 times. And my remainder is going to be 7 nines. So 17 and 7 9 ounces. Pause again and try this. Each day I run laps around the track at the Y. The length of each lap is 1/8 of a mile. On Saturday I ran 2 1/4 miles. How many laps did I run on Saturday? Well, aren't I going to take 2 1/4 and divide by 1/8? We need to see how many 1/8s are in that. So divide. Change this to a mixed number. We'll have 9/4 divided by 1/8. When you are dividing fractions, it's the same as multiplying by the reciprocal. Keep, switch, flip. I can reduce. 4 goes in there once, 4 goes in there twice. 9 times 2 is 18 left. Now, you could have done that other ways. You could have figured out that there were 8 laps in each one of these miles, so that's 16, and then 2 laps in 1/4 of a mile, which gives you 18. All right, find the length of the hypotenuse. Pause and do this. All right, this is a right triangle. These two hash marks mean these two sides are equal, so this is also 14. the legs are A and B. This is C, hypotenuse. So, Pythagorean theorem, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'll have what? 14 squared plus 14 squared equals C squared. That's 196 each. That gives me 392 equals C squared. And then remember your last step. Take the square root of both sides. So C is 19.8. Approximately 19.8 inches. Last but not least, pause and do this problem. This one you need to pay attention that this is the hypotenuse. So I'm going to call this A and this B. We're looking for a missing leg. So again, A squared plus B squared equals C squared. So I'll have what? X squared, because that's what that leg is, plus 12 squared equals 13 squared. So x squared plus 144 equals 169. Subtract 144 from both sides, and you get x squared is 25. Take the square root, x is 5. All right, we are going to start taking a look at the first lesson in our inequalities unit. You will be on page 1, well, it's really page 2, in your notes. So, some review. Inequalities. First of all, an equation is this. 4x plus 6 equals 10. That is an equation because it's equals. This, 4x plus 6 is less than 10. That is an inequality. Whenever we have an inequality symbol, which these are your inequality symbols, it's called an inequality instead of an equation. So this is the less than symbol. This is greater than. This is less than or equal to. This is greater than or equal to. All right. Now, on a graph, if you have a less than or a greater than, it is going to have an open circle. Looks like that. Less than or equal to or greater than or equal to is going to have a closed or solid like this. Less than is to the left and greater than to the right. Write that down and you're going to see what I mean in a moment. All right, draw, number line, and graph the following. Our answer, or our inequality, is x is less than 7. So every number in the world that is less than 7 will make that true. So I'm going to draw a number line, and I'm only going to put 3 numbers, 7 in the middle, and then 1 to the left and 1 to the right. Now, our graph needs to represent all numbers that are less than 7. Since it is a less than, I put an open circle, because 7 is not less than 7. But 6.999 is. 6 is. 5 is. 4 is. So what I'm going to do, open circle, and I'm going to shade to the left and put an arrow on my shading. This shows all numbers that are less than 7. What about this one? X is greater than or equal to -2. So let's put just some boundaries on our number line. X is greater than or equal to -2. So all numbers that are greater than or equal to -2 are part of this solution set. Since it is an equal to, I'm going to have a solid circle because that is showing that -2 works. Because look, -2 is greater than or equal to -2. It's equal to. Where are the numbers greater than? To the right. Every number up here to the right is greater than or equal to -2. So this graph matches this inequality. Last one, x is greater than -4. Open circle because there is no equal to, shaded right for greater than. Now, these are not in your notes. I want you to add this. I'm going to draw a graph. And I'm going to draw what the graph is. I'm going to do 2 of these. And then I want to come up with the inequality that the graph represents. All right, let's take a look at this one. This graph has a solid circle on 5. So we're going to have x and 5. We need to figure out what inequality symbol goes here. Well, we know it's going to have an equal to because it's a solid circle, and it is shaded left. Isn't that less than is to the left? So x is less than or equal to 5. This one, x and -9. We've got to compare these two. Well, it's not going to have an equal to because it's open, and it's shaded to the right. So x is greater than